How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Tales from the Darkside. This is Season 1, Episode 19, and this one's entitled If the Shoes Fit. This is from May 12th, 1985, and is directed by Armand Mastroianni and stars Dick Shawn and John Zarchen. The teleplay was by the director Armand Mastroianni, as well as a man, first initial N, Ward, M-W-A-R-D, and is based on a short story by Lewis Harbor. And this is about a politician. He's staying in a hotel in the middle of nowhere, and he's getting ready for a big political rally. However, this politician is a little bit crooked. Not like super evil, but he thinks to win elections, you ignore the real issues and you have to entertain people and make them happy, and that's how you get their vote. You make them happy, but you don't actually do anything. And he starts to hear, in the distance, calliope music. But there's no circus in town, and in fact the town's kind of deserted, so what is this calliope music that he's hearing? What is this circus stuff that's going to be happening? Well, he's of course on a classic anthology horror case of karmic justice. So yeah, crazy circus stuff are going to be happening to this guy who's essentially a clown. Overall, why typically I like the idea of spreading the message that politicians are evil. I mean, it's something that really does need to be said. I actually wasn't a big fan of this episode. This is one of those old-timey, wacky comedy episodes. Did you guys see my review for the episode A Case of the Stubborns? I know that episode has some fans, and if you like it, that's great for you. But I kind of felt the humor was weird, old-timey humor that doesn't really hold up super well today, and this is another case of that. Overall, I thought this episode was a little bit better than A Case of the Stubborns, but it's still this weird, old-timey humor that just isn't super funny. I guess going into the flaws more specifically, first of all, this is Tales from the Darkside. I go in and I want to see some horror. Yeah, horror comedy is fun too, and I do like that. But right off the bat, you can tell that there's in no way going to be anything super scary here. You get a sense that the hotel's bellboy is kind of supernatural. He'll appear at places from time to time, so that's kind of interesting. And some of the circus gags do work, but that's another thing. The whole idea, he's a clown, he belongs in a circus, it's a really quick and easy idea to get, and they stretch this idea out for the whole episode, and they get a bunch of mileage from things like his suit. The idea that his suit's changed is something they spend way too long on overly explaining, going into it, and just keeping in this rut. And yeah, it's a lot of this stuff I get, I understand, and we're still talking about it, So it goes very slowly. Now, I do like where it gets to at the end, a big, crazy, surreal thing, but you get long elements where they're just worrying about his suit and then jump to the crazy extreme ending. This episode would have been a lot better if they scaled up to that and you slowly started to see reality breaking apart before he got to the end. But as it stands right now, very slow. And yeah, it's silly. It's just it's so obvious and slow that I just didn't find it funny. And there's a lot that just doesn't really hold up by today. But also speaking about today, maybe, I don't know about the time itself, maybe it was more novel to criticize politicians. Now it's something that I feel like a lot of people are doing, and it is something we've seen before, and we've seen much bigger, better takedowns of politicians, and maybe it's just not as novel today as it was back then. I don't know. But yeah, as it stands, it's just weird old-timey humor. I like the point they're trying to make, but it just doesn't really hold up. It's way, way too long, weird old-timey humor that doesn't do enough, you know? I guess let's go ahead and analyze the episode in a little bit more detail. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on some plot points, so let's go ahead and analyze the episode a little deeper. We open up with an overweight maid, and she sees a basket of fruit for the politician, tries to eat an apple, hears someone coming, and puts it back, but turns it so you don't see the bite. A really lame joke to open up on. I feel that the character of the overweight maid is one of those things that just isn't near as funny by today's standards. I mean, she doesn't really do anything hilarious, but it's like whenever she comes on screen, the show thinks, oh, that's hilarious. But yeah, she tried to steal an apple. Okay, whatever. But anyway, the politician comes in, Gums, you know, a silly name, Gums. And he's there with the bellboy, and he starts flirting with the maid, again, haha, but he starts flirting with the maid, and he gives them all a bunch of tasks to do. This is back in the past when you could just tell hotel people to do a whole bunch of stuff for you, and they just did it because you got a lot more service back then. But one of the things he tells the hotel people to do is pass out as pendants in the lobby, which, I mean, okay, if you're a hotel, you should have anyone be able to stay there, and you should service any politician who comes in. It's your duty, right? But when the hotel itself starts passing out pendants, it loses its middle ground bias. They really, really shouldn't have hotel staff pass out politically biased pendants. That takes the hotel out of neutral territory. It's the business siding with a candidate. They didn't get approval from the manager for this. You really shouldn't have hotel staff do campaign work for you. Anyway, going off on a tangent. Anyway, he gets on the phone with his campaign manager, and he starts to talk about the rally they have coming up, and in this scene you get to see his views. People don't want to hear about the issues. That's boring political stuff. They want to hear about what will make them happy, what will get them excited. He says politics is all a show. We have to give them a good show. And his slogan is like the happy candidate or something. However, when he gets off the phone, he sees the bellboy is still there. His sort of mysterious appearing trick. Well, seeing that the bellboy had overheard his phone conversation, he decides to sit him down and explain the real world to him, and says that he's going to have a campaign rally. There's going to be food. There's going to be beautiful women. It's all about the show. It's all about making people happy. This is how the real world works. You make someone happy, and they'll vote for you. And the bellboy's listening, he's interested, and then the maid walks in, and he says, hey, let me illustrate this for you. And he goes and he flirts with the maid, and he dances with the maid, and again, this is another case of something that I guess was way sillier back then, but look, he's dancing with a fat woman, a little tiny bit of slapstick at the end. It's not funny, but he does a little dance with her, he falls down, and the two leave, and he's like, so much work for 2 votes, you know? But you do get his philosophy there. But anyway, as he starts to settle in, he hears the calliope music, and he asks his campaign manager, is there a circus around No, there's not. What, are you drunk or something? You gotta be ready for the rally. And it's actually, yeah, there'd be no circus around because the whole town is strangely abandoned. There's not too many people here, which is also an excuse to do a bottle episode. But anyway, he eventually does get his dry cleaning back and find that his suit is mysteriously changed, and we're gonna try to get a lot of mileage out of the suit. Oh man, they go on and on with the suit for a long time. But anyway, the joke obviously is he's a clown and circus stuff is going to invade his everyday life. Maybe part of the reason why this doesn't hold up is maybe this is a way that politics have changed. You know, maybe back then you show up, you show the people a good time, you make them happy, and then they vote for you because, hey, you're our friend, right? You made us happy. Nowadays, rather than happiness, I feel that political candidates are much more using fear. You know, they invent some apocalypse and then say, if you don't vote for side A as opposed to side B, you're dooming the world. So maybe that's another reason why it holds up. Maybe why it doesn't hold up. Maybe back then it was all about happiness. Vote for me, it's happy. And maybe nowadays it's all about terror. Don't vote for me and the world is doomed. I don't know. But yeah, it's a one basic gag stretched way too far. And I do like the ending, and maybe if we had stepped up and escalated towards the ending, maybe if you saw reality start to break away in pieces leading up to this, you know, you could do this episode pretty well with a better budget. Like I said, this is a classic Darkside bottle episode, essentially one set with a handful of actors. You know, Darkside, pretty cheap. But if you were able to see the world crumbling, if it got way more surreal, then maybe that could work. But as it stands right now, it's just kind of painfully unfunny. I do like the message, don't trust politicians. That is very important. Both sides of the aisle, don't trust any one of them. And I do like that message. But that being said, this just wasn't funny. I think we've seen much more biting criticisms today, and overall just 23 minutes of weird old-timey humor that does lead to a fun ending, but yeah, not the best. Anyway, I've talked about the past episodes of the show before. I'm not always so negative, and I am looking forward to this is episode 19 out of 24, so 5 more episodes, and I am looking forward to all of them because while this one was kind of a dud, I do really like this show, and I am looking forward to those last few episodes. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. If you guys want to see me talk about more Darkside, you can click right there. I've reviewed the past episodes of the show, as well as the Christmas episodes and the Joe Hill comic, so I have a ton more of this. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Darkside playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.